Hi guys, welcome. If it's your first time here, it is Bold TV, and today we're just gonna do another storytelling. I don't think you guys are ready for this. This one is actually similar to Cinderella story, but not exactly. This is a real life story. Oh my god, this story. Every time I think of it. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Okay, yeah, so this actually happened back home. We had this neighbor that they were very wealthy. Well, the neighborhood was, everybody there was nearly wealthy. They own big plots of land and all that stuff. And as you know, back home, if you own anything, it's because you own it. It's not credit. You have to pay cash for anything and everything. So yeah. So they owned a very big piece of land, and the lady lived with 2 daughters and 2 sons, and then her elder sister had 2 daughters, and then there was an accident. I don't remember which airline was it, but anyways, they were flying. They had traveled for vacation, coming back. The airline or the plane developed fault, and they crashed. Half of the people survived and most of them did not survive. So the 2 girls survived, but their mom did not survive. Now their aunt is the one that was our neighbor that owned a very big farm, owned a very big piece of land. Of course, the estate had a lot of building insides, and it's very normal back home to see that. But here, if you see something like that, a huge compound with a lot of properties inside, most likely it's either owned by a company or different people own it. But it's very normal back home to have one person own everything. It's normal. So anyways, so when their mom passed on the plane crash, so their aunt decided to take them in. Okay, because usually they will have like a family meeting, and then either the family elders will tell, or they will actually nominate who will take care of the kids, the children of the late, and then also watch over their estate, whether if they have businesses, if they have homes, the person to be in charge of those. And this aunt volunteered that she wants to be the one in charge of their estate, and she will take care of the kids. Fine. And then everything was good, and everybody was happy that she was doing that. And I was going to school with one of the girls. All right. So everything was good, everyone is happy that she's doing that. The kids were happy, having time of their life with their cousins and whatnot. Okay. And then, not sure what happened to this aunt. She all of a sudden changed. She became like Cinderella's mom to these girls. She will treat them anyhow. Sometimes they won't eat, and sometimes if they ate leftovers and whatnot. And then and then the younger daughters were sick one time, and anytime the girls are sick, their aunt will not even bother to take them to the hospital or buy medication or whatnot. So of course that was the case. There was a time the younger daughter was sick, and the aunt, as usual, didn't care and all that, and the girl ended up dying, right? So she passed on, and it was really sad. And the sister that we attended school with, she was telling us, what they were going through in the house and whatnot. And then of course, and how her little sister died. And of course, people are not happy that, this was happening, right? And then when she was, I think, about 15 going to 16, her auntie told her she need to stop going to school because apparently there's a suitor that wants to marry her. And she told the mom that, no, I don't want to get married. I'm still young, blah, blah, blah. And the auntie was like, she's tired of feeding her. And then, of course, her and her big mouth, she told her, but you are the one in charge of our estate. Our parents left businesses, they left homes where their tenants, renting, where is the money going? And that is the money, she told the aunt, that is the money she's going to go to school with. The aunt was like, nope, I found someone, you have to get married, and there is no looking back. So anyways, so the guy that had come to marry her, was a very wealthy guy, but of course he was in his 60s, basically his grandpa, right? And then of course, when the people came home for paying of dowries and whatnot, she sneaked out of the house and they could not find her. She disappeared. She was nowhere to be found. So the guy had to leave, right? And then in that village, actually it's not like a village, it's like a town. There was a guy, another wealthy guy, he owned a bus company, transportation company. Back home, the government can have transportation company, but regular people can also invest in transportation company, and you can actually buy your vehicles, whether it's buses or vans, you can actually put on the road and make money that way. All you have to do is the vehicles, and just like how Uber does it, they have something similar for buses, but that is, somebody owned. Like you can actually do it as a small scale business. You can decide to buy 5 buses and put them in a route to say maybe Toronto to Mississauga, so your buses only go Toronto to Mississauga, something similar like that. So it's very common for people to do that. But this guy, he had over maybe 100 or 200 buses. His buses were going into different routes, and stuff. So this wealthy guy, of course, as was the case with so many wealthy people, they will marry multiple wives. And some of the people in the village will volunteer to say, hey, we want you to be our in-law and we're giving you our daughter. You don't have to pay dowry, just take her, because they just want to be an in-law to this billionaire of a guy. So anyways, so this guy, of course, having multiple women, and the women are always competing for his attention. Everyone is using all sorts of diabolical, things, call it witchcraft, call it whatever craft it is. They use all sorts of craft so that, the guy can, favor them and have their attention. Otherwise, dude had so many wives and also so many side chicks, like it's crazy. So anyhow, one of the wives of this very wealthy guy had a son, and the son, people thought that he was mentally unwell, and they thought that it's probably the stepmoms did something, of course. And then he was sent out of the compound, so he wasn't staying in their home there anymore. And he was the firstborn, basically the firstborn of the first wife. And by tradition, him being the firstborn of the first wife, he basically has he automatically becomes the heir, basically taking over from the dad, basically the prince in waiting, right? If I should say so. And yeah, so then according to the story is that they told the mom, if you want your son to leave, you need to send him out of the compound, because all the stepmom, everybody are trying to find ways to get rid of him, or even to make it seem like he's gone mad or to make him go. We continue with this Cinderella-like story, which is not Cinderella. So anyhow, the son of the first wife was told, you need to make sure that you remove your son out of this compound because of the all kind of diabolical things that the other women are doing, trying to, you know, get the attention of this guy. Everybody wants to be loved more than the other. The co-wives are competing. Children are competing. And of course, by tradition, because he's the first son, in case of anything, he's basically more like a prince in waiting. He will automatically take over the estate once his dad is no more, or if the dad retires, he can easily be made the chair or the CEO of the corporation, right? And now the other women don't like that because it's as if every woman wants their son to be the one, okay? And now the inheritance is passed through sons, not really daughters. Even though they have like the daughters, it's not taken seriously, but the inheritance was always through the sons. So the woman was asked to, you know, to send his son out of the compound for him to leave, basically. And then, of course, he sent his son to go to his mom's village. And she was doing is sending him, you know, like money for school, you know, everything, money for upkeep and stuff, to make sure, you know, he still maintains good living, or maybe good standard of living, if you can say so. Okay, now so he's no longer in this place and he moved. All right, and remember this girl that the aunt wanted to marry off to that 60-year-old, she ran away from home and nobody knows where she is. No one could find her. Nobody could find her. They looked everywhere, like she could not be found. But the aunt also was happy that she couldn't be found, because she knows that, you know what, since she's nowhere to be found, that is okay. She and her children can inherit all of the, you know, all of her estate, right? All right, so that was the case. So life goes on, and then one day we hear, oh guys, this millionaire bus owner or billionaire bus owner is very sick, and now he's looking for his son, the firstborn, because he wants to speak with him before he leaves, you know, before obviously he depart the earth, right? So of course the mom had to send for him, and surprise, apparently this girl that was missing, she turned out to be in that village where this boy was, and they became friends. They even got married. They had 2 children. So when this boy came back to see the dad, and he didn't tell the girl about his root, who he is, whether he comes from money or he doesn't come from money. So this girl didn't know. All the girl told him is that she ran away from home because her aunt wanted to marry her off to a 60-year-old, right? And when this guy met the girl in that place, she helped her to continue school. She continued school until she finished her undergraduate, and then they decided to get married. And of course, when he came to see the dad, everybody was shocked. Of course, he was already making money, very smart guy, very wealthy. He started his own business in where he was. Like, he didn't really need his dad's money, but because he was really smart, the dad wanted him to be in charge of his corporation, right? So when he came, he came with a girl. And then the way they came with entourage. Back home is very common for wealthy people to drive around with entourage because of, you need to get security, right? So one day we're just sitting, we're like, we like, wow, who is this one passing? So anyways, they went to the guy's compound, of course, and then all of a sudden, of course, some of the kids that lives in the compound, stories started coming out. Guys, you guys remember so and so that disappeared? She ran away when the mom wanted her to marry, the auntie wanted to marry her off to a 60-year-old and stuff. And then the story is like, oh my God, she's now married to this guy, to the son of this billionaire, and blah blah blah, and apparently they are doing really well, blah blah blah. So it was crazy. And then of course, after the guy met with the dad, because the dad wanted to talk to him like his last wishes and all that stuff, which is very common actually back home. Like some dads like to do that, including moms too. Like if there are things they want to tell their kids before they leave the earth, they will do that. So guys, after he saw his dad, he told his wife, you know what? We need to visit your aunt. And the girl is like, no, I don't want problem. We don't have to. Let bygone be bygone. I don't really care about the land and all the estate my family left me. They can have it. The guy is like, nope, we are not doing that. I need violence. The guy is like, nope, we are going to go and see your aunt. So of course him and his entourage, lawyers, even took the cabs. Back home, if you have money, basically the police can do whatever you want. You pay them, even including the head of police, just name them, including army. You can even pay the army to carry out whatever you want. But it's crazy. But anyways, that's how it is. That's how it is when you have money back home. Basically, money talks. So anyways, so the girl went to the aunt with the husband, and the guy introduced himself. I'm the son of so and so, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, bus corporation. Anyways, the son introduced, the guy introduced himself to the aunt. And the aunt saw the niece. She was shocked. And the guy was like, you know what? I'm not here for anything. I'm here because my wife needs to have all her father's properties. You need to release all her properties. Everything ASAP, and here's the lawyer. And the aunt was like, oh no, blah blah blah, you see. They're like, no, we are not doing that. He just asked the police, please arrest her. And now the wife is saying, please, it hasn't gotten to that, there's no need for that, blah blah blah. He's like, nope, for all the suffering that she put you through, she need to pay. So they took her to the police station. She had to release all the paperwork by force, right? She had to release all the paperwork by force. Everything that the girl's dad owes, she gave everything back. And then the guy told the wife that anyways, now that you have all your properties, it's up to you. If you still want to retain relationship with them or you don't, that's not up to me, that is up to you. And she's like, you know what? Hell no. After what she did to me, and the sister dying, her sister, younger sister dying, she's like, nope. So the husband was now asking her, now that you've had, I think I already said this, but anyways, let me say it again. So the husband was asking her, now that you have all your properties back, it's up to you if you want to continue relationship with your aunt, but also you don't have to, because there is no need. And she told her husband that, you know what, this aunt maltreated me so much, especially trying to force me to marry an old man. Plus, it's because of her negligence that my little sister died and all that stuff. So she's there. Nope, she's just gonna keep her distance, right? So, anyways, and it was such a, the thing made a lot of buzz in the city, in this tiny city that that we lived. I was very young at the time, and I think when we were in primary school, I think I was still in nursery. So this thing made a huge buzz and all that stuff. But as we were growing, actually, and I think if you guys watched my previous video, I did tell you guys about a story about the guy, the business mogul, this billionaire that owned buses and all that stuff. The guy's name was Lumumba. Very, 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 very wealthy guy. But we came to hear that because of multiple wives, multiple side chicks, too much going around, he ended up having he was actually sick with AIDS, and he was taking the AIDS medication and stuff, but he still had to, he still couldn't make it, because while he had AIDS, he also had other underlying conditions. He had other sicknesses, that was making him more sick than the AIDS, right? So, and I remember us being very young, we were being told, you need to be very careful, keep off of multiple relationship, there is no need, and also dying of AIDS or other STDs and all that stuff. So they were advising people like, there is no need for that. And it's very common, like back home, when people have money, they think they can have multiple wives or multiple, and sometimes when they only have one wife, you will see that they have all kind of side chicks, which does not, I don't understand, like, just marry one, make sure you marry the right person, that's it. If you're not ready to marry, or you haven't found the right person, wait, don't rush it, there's no need, because you're going to look for the other pieces that your wife doesn't, you're going to look for it outside. There's no need for that. Absolutely no need for that. So anyways, guys, this is the story of man, there are a lot of things that goes on around this world, guys. And at times, when you're well and healthy, all your relatives are on your team, but the moment you leave this world, it's as if nobody really cares about your own children, despite the fact that you've been helping them, taking care of them. So the world is such a wicked place to some extent. The world is a wicked place to some extent. And I think it's important for people to write wills. If you have small change, write wills. And if you find that you cannot trust any of your family members, you can have the state or somebody at least that can act as someone that can take care of your children, because it's insane. I'll tell you guys a story. There's one of my friend also that their dad died, and the whole relatives were fighting over their properties. And when the dad was alive, the dad was the one taking care of everybody, including those the uncle's children and all that stuff. But the moment the uncle died, nobody really cared about them. Nobody cared where they're gonna eat or their school fees or whatnot. all they cared about was dividing the wealth that their brother left. So it's crazy. The world is very wicked. Very, very wicked. Very wicked. What if this girl did not find this guy in the city that she ran to help him with his education, even though they ended up marrying? But at least, you know, it's crazy. Anyways, guys, that is it for now, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.